much? When you said in the meeting you had almost $1 billion in exits, what were you talking about? I came like the last part of that.
So $1 billion in exits is not me yet, but it is clients that we've assisted. You know, people that have come through. Here's what happens, and I'm not taking credit for anybody, but people who come through Apex tend to ramp up their marketing, which therefore ramps up their exposure. It ramps up their brand. And what happens when you ramp up your marketing and you ramp up your brand is outsiders start to see you, okay? Yeah. And a couple things, right? Like private equity might have an eye on you. The bank might have an eye on you. Other people that want to work for you have an eye on you. Like so many people, they think, oh, well, I don't want to be an influencer on social media, or I don't really need social media. But what if you leverage social media not to make money, but to hire more sales reps or to attract better talent because of the things that you said people want to be on your team? And so we've had, one of our clients exited for like a couple $100 million, another one a couple $100 million. We just had a guy yesterday exit for $80 million. And we've had a whole bunch of smaller ones in between. So we've had about 14 or 15 exits that total over $1 billion and counting. These people are leaving on a daily basis. And, you know, I'll give you an example. Kurt Lennington was really like the first, okay? And again, I'm not taking credit for what they did. Kurt's brilliant, but what he did was he said he saw somebody else do it. Okay, and it originally started with us back in 2017. We had our first client go through an exit, and they were the largest contractor in their field in the industry, and they did $1 billion exit, right? And one of the owners took some of that money and joined Apex, did a tiny bit of that money and joined Apex. Before it was Apex, it was called The Tribe, or actually it was called Push to Excellence at this point. And this guy came and he joined Push to Excellence, and I learned a lot about that. Well, what Kurt did a couple of years ago, Kurt Lennington, great dude, I love that guy to death, is he saw somebody like that make an exit in his industry and went directly to the guy that made the exit. Okay.
Brilliant.
And brilliant. And then said, hey, well, we do more than those guys. And so they gave him a huge amount of money. And over time, he exited and then, you know, became the CEO of a huge company now, like $1 billion company now. And what happened was last year, and this is the whole thing leading into MDM this year. Last year, Kurt spoke on our stage, right? And the fucking craziest I got to say this shit, right? The craziest thing is Kurt, he's a lot like me. You don't really got a filter. And there had just been the school shooting at Uvalde, right? And so like 2 days later, we've got MDM and we've got sponsors that are gun dealers and stuff, right? They gave Amy a gun on stage and shit, right? And again, our people, they're going to own guns regardless because their thoughts, a good guy with guns better than a bad guy with a gun, you know, the whole thing. But Kurt's on stage and he goes, and if you don't do what I'm about to say, I'm going to shoot you. And I was like, and he was just, you know, just metaphorically speaking or whatever. He wasn't holding the gun or anything. He was just being funny. I was like, I don't know if the timing's right on that one, you know, because it was in Texas and it was a big deal or whatever. Yeah. But there was a gentleman, and I won't say his name, but he's also an Apex executive member in the audience. And he says to me, we were at dinner about 2 months ago and at the Jerry Jones's place. And he says, you know, I liked MDM. I liked listening to Master P and A-Rod and all those people. But the one guy that really resonated with me was Kurt. Yeah. And he goes, and I looked at that guy and I went, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. And then that guy turned around and exited his company for fucking high 8 figures. And what happened though is the people that were on the sidelines and executives, and they're watching, and the entrepreneur guys too, but they're watching and they're going, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then they start doing it and they start exiting, and then everybody's like, and that's the beautiful thing about proximity, man. When you get around people that are doing stuff, you're like, oh, I didn't know that you could do that. Oh shit, you did it? Surely I could did it too. And that's how I've tried to be the example. My whole career is like, if I can do it, you can do it. And then when you get around other people doing stuff, you're like, if they can do it, I can do it. And it just feeds from that, you know? And so that's where the $1 billion in exits have come from, is they've got around that proximity. It's who you become, who you hang with. Yeah. Right? I used to hang with drug dealers, and drug dealers typically go to prison. Hey, welcome to Beto One. You know what I mean? And then when I started hanging with millionaires, see, I was telling the team this earlier, In 2005, a TV commercial came on, and it was like, if you want to learn how to flip no money down real estate, come to the DoubleTree in Richardson, Texas. And so I was like, well, I do loans. Let me go to the DoubleTree in Richardson, Texas to see what these guys are talking about. And from that, getting around those people in that room, right? I was a punk kid. I didn't really have a whole lot going for me. I was probably 2-3 months behind on my cable bill, so the TV commercial showed up on the free channel that I had left on my satellite. I had Dish Network back in the day. And I went there and I met one guy.
Yeah.
And that one guy gave me 54 duplexes to refinance, and it made $250,000 off of that. It changed my fucking life because I got in the right room with the right people at the right time. And I went from now everybody I know is on drugs and a prison person to like I met this one millionaire that had 54 houses. And this one millionaire that had 54 houses, like that shit rubbed off on me. He didn't give me money. He didn't say, here's cash. He said, well, I've got 54 houses duplexes that I need to refinance. Yeah. Do you think you can help me? And honestly, I was like, I don't know, but I'll try. And because of that proximity, because of being in that room. And so here we are, 19 years later, as crazy as that sounds, 19 years later, I'm trying to be that facilitator, right? I facilitated it for the guy that saw Kurt and now has exited his company for life-changing money, and the others that have seen Kurt and several other people exit for life-changing money. I just want to be that, like, I always say, like, you to be the guy, you have to be the connector, the people that puts people together and shows them what's possible. Yeah. And now here we are, $1 billion in exits later, and it's a little more than that, but here we are. And what's funny is I said $600 million, and then some of our clients hit me up in the DMs and are like, bro, we did that, we did this, we did that. And I was like, holy shit.
Social proof right there.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And again, these are guys that worked hard, built a good business. So I'm not saying, I'm not your typical internet egomaniac that's like, it's because of me. But what I'm saying is because of me putting people together, they got around other people that inspired them and showed them what was possible. Like, let's say that somebody comes to work here and they make $50,000 a year. And everybody that works here is making $1 million a year. Do you think that's going to make them level up, change how they approach things, change how they think about things, change how they absolutely? That's and I've been in other rooms where everybody has their fucking hand out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you show up into an event and everybody's raising money and I need money for this project. This is my favorite thing about the internet. Motherfuckers tell you how rich they are and then ask you for money. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't understand that. Like, if you're so rich, what the hell do you need my money? I have a guy the other day, and I think I said this last week.
I just don't want to use my money.
Yeah, I don't want to use so you want me to risk mine? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Right? Fuck that. I had to learn that lesson the hard way, but I always wanted to be the guy that facilitated giving. Like we run in Apex, we run a very strict thing. It's like you can't raise money. You can't sell your services to our people. You're here to teach the people about how your services or your industry or your specific expertise can help them in their respective ways. Because a lot of people treat these networking events, especially the influencers, right? They treat these networking events as like, I'm going to come in and put my hand out and I'm going to collect cash from everybody in here. We want people to come into our group and say, let's consider Apex as the cloud, okay? Here's information that goes to the cloud that's stored there for people to learn from forever. That's the difference in what we've built, right? Yeah. And man, I turn down a lot of people to get in there. They say, I want to join because I'm trying to raise money for this project. The fuck out of here. No, we're not raising. You're not going to take money from my people. We've already played that game before.
Yeah.
And we know that it doesn't work. And the guy that has $1 billion that wants to raise money and doesn't want to risk his own money, there's something wrong with that, right? Like for me, I risked my own money. I bought this building with my own money. I bought the ranch with my own money. I bought the $30 million real estate portfolio that we have with our own money. Like if I can do it with my money, what the fuck would I want to pay you 10 or 20% on yours for?
Yeah, exactly. Most people can't do it with their money.
I have a guy that I own an apartment complex with, and we're supposed to be exiting right now. And I hit him up yesterday.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I hit him up yesterday.
It's not that good of a story. Yet.
And
I have a sore subject right now.
I sent him the proposal that he sent me to raise money, and I said, hey, man, we're at the exit point for 21% like you've got here on this paperwork. And he said, I need another 2 years. If we were to sell right now, we'd lose 100% of our investment. And I went, okay, so are you going to give me 40%? For keeping it another 2 years, or should I have just put my money in a 5% money market and said fuck you in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want that to happen to our people.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, we've been through that a couple, 2, 3, 4 years ago where everybody was raising money and blah, blah, blah. And people, there's a rule of money that I have, and it's treat all money as if you worked your ass off for it. What most people do is if I gave you $1 million right now, Sean, right? If you didn't have my mentorship, and you didn't know me ever in your life, and you just stumbled across a bag of money, you most likely, even though you're a smart dude, most likely you're gonna go blow that shit on whatever the fuck you want because it's free bonus money.
Yeah.
But my rule is treat all money as if you worked your ass off for it, whether you raised it from somebody else, whether it was an inheritance, a lottery winning, you stumble across a bag of money, you find a quarter on the ground. Treat all money as if you work for it. Most people do not follow that mindset. They treat, like, if I give you $1 million to invest in something, you're not going to treat that the same as if you had to work 20 years of your life to save that $1 million. You're going to make a lot smarter investment and be a lot more scarce. Like, you can give an employee a credit card here, they're not going to make the same credit card type of purchases that I would, you know? Yeah. My whole, like, even when I sold drugs, back in the 90s, I wanted one of those big-ass TVs. It was about as big as this TV, but remember, they were the size of a fucking bookshelf. You remember those things?
Yeah, 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, they had a big speaker in the bottom, and they were like 6 foot tall, and you decorated it as if it was furniture in your house and shit, right? I wanted one of those. They were like $2,000, right? And, you know, Best Buy gave me a 0% credit card. Okay, and this is how I learned this lesson. They gave me a 0% credit card, and I went and bought it and put it 0%, and I paid the monthly payments, and I ultimately ended up not paying for the damn thing, and I missed it. And Best Buy ended up charging me off, and I had to settle with them and all this stuff. And again, I was in my, early 20s at this point in my life. And I made this rule. If I want something like that in the future, I'm going to save for it. That instant gratification of going and financing it for $200, $300 a month, I will save for it. And then what I will do is and so I started saving for, I end up wanting another TV, and this time I saved for it, right? Actually, it wasn't a TV. It was the Bose speakers that go alongside that TV that I didn't pay for. And so I started saving money for it. And when I saved the money for it, it took me like 9 months to get, putting $100 back a week or whatever the case it was at the time. It took me like 9 months. And when I had saved that money and I went to go purchase it, I was like, you know what? I don't even want that shit. I had to work so hard for this $1,000 that, man, it's not worth it to spend it on speakers. You know what I mean? Like, the speakers I got are good enough. And that mindset is stuck with me this whole time. If I want something, I'll save for it. Because oftentimes when you work hard and you save for something and then you have the ability to purchase it, you're like, I don't know, man. There's probably something I can better spend that money on.
I agree.
But if you get the money instantly, you're like, oh, hey, let's just go party or whatever, So
most people don't have the patience with their money,
Right.
What in 15 years you have? When did you amass your fortune? In the last 5?
Well,
did you say the last 5, the compound effect of your work.
I made
my
first million in 2005. Then I lost it. Then I made another million. Then I lost that. Then I made another. Reminds me of a story by a guy named Earl Shaw. He said, one time I invested in ostriches, and the ostrich market went to 0, and I cut the fence open and tried to shoo those things out of the ranch. They wouldn't even cross 35, and then when they did, the traffic would dodge them. I couldn't get rid of them for shit, right? So,
It's a great story.
I have been
good story.
I've been making good money for 20 years. But I've been divorced. I've been through prison, and so some setbacks.
But I have this thing in my mind of when you amassed your wealth.
Well, and I've along the way, Amy's been with me for 10 years. Along the way, we've always bought houses.
Yeah.
When we lived in our last house in 2016, we owned 3 homes in that neighborhood. Right? The neighbor died. I went down, talked to their family, bought that house. The other neighbor went into foreclosure, went down, talked to them, bought the house.
That's really when the foundation was built. I think it was 2016.
We started getting
That's
more
when we
money
really
at that
started-
point. We had extra.
Yeah, and really started just building.
Yeah.
So I tell people
framework.
the time and the time that you're going to put in, the front load, because when you're paying a mortgage, right, that interest is paid first. and then you start
For 20
paying down
years.
principal, right? So for 20 years, you're paying interest, and then you get to the principal. I think it's the same thing with personal development and money, is that you're going to
That's
pay
a
that
great
price
analogy.
up first, and then all of a sudden it's going to break. Because, for instance, I believe, not money-wise, but I believe skill set-wise, what you did in 10 years, I was able to model and knock out in 4.
Yep.
Because
That's the beauty of getting the blueprint.
Exactly. Now I'm working on build and wealth. And I think that what you've done in 15 years, I'll probably be able to do in 10.
For sure.
And people don't understand that that's a price you're going to have to pay
Yeah.
because they just want it now.
You know,
and then they get around these people that will tell them, hey, come with me. You can have it now. And it never works. It hasn't worked one time. And then Amy knocked it out of the park with financial illiteracy. People don't know shit about their money. They don't know where it goes. They don't know how to invest it. They don't know how to spend it. And so I think that the long tail game is
You
patience.
raised a good point too in terms of money and being like an element of personal development and discipline. People don't realize in terms of the way we react to money and the way we manage money, it's emotional. And if you manage money well, you're emotionally sound.
That's well said, right?
If you don't know how to manage your money and you can't, if you try and save and then you spend it on something, that's an emotional piece. That's a huge emotional piece to it. There's something that you are needing for self gratification that you can't have on your own. You can't have a piece on your own of just being with yourself and being, happy with what you have. You're seeking something.
Yeah.
And so, but somebody that is able to have their money laid out where they're protected, where they're safe, they have money in savings, they're not spending more than they make. That's somebody who emotionally has their ducks in a row. And some people don't realize that. Yeah.
Interesting to say that. I heard something like Andrew Tate said something like that. 1%, if that, of man or woman want nothing but just to be at home, hanging with their family. The rest of us want Bugattis and mansions and nice shit. And being that 1% man is the only man I'm envious of because that man or woman is truly free.
Yeah.
Well, you guys both make those are very valid points. The interest up front, whether it be skill set, money to compound at some point.
Yeah.
That's the 10,000 hour rule. If you looked at Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, like once you've got your 10,000 hours in, whether it be in real estate, personal development, whatever, then you really start to see the compound. Most people quit about 2,500 hours into it. Because they're acres away, they're inches away from diamonds, not realizing that the whole plantation they're sitting on is full of diamonds. Same with money's emotional. And look, I've been emotional with money, and multiple times in my life. In 2005, when I started, made $1 million in a year and owned 32 homes and all this shit as a young man, I thought money was never going to end, right? And the subprime boom fucking came to a collapse. The financial markets collapsed. The stock market collapsed. The country was angry with Republicans, and Democrats got elected across the country. A lot of things changed, and a lot of the environment and the money and things like that changed. And then I realized that good money doesn't last forever. And, but here I was buying a brand new truck and buying, my dream home and all this shit at 25, and I didn't even have a wife and kids. What the fuck did I need a 5,000 square foot home for, right? I should have lived in an apartment and kept buying and doing the thing. But money changes people. And here's the thing I think about money. Money is responsibility.
Yeah.
If I have $1 million in my bank account, then I'm responsible for that. If I lose it, if I spend it, if I blow it away, I got to take responsibility for that. If I give it to you, and you go and invest it and you blow it, it's your fault. You did it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people try to push that responsibility off on something else, And even in 2020, 2021, 2022, that was really in 2019, our wealth, like almost overnight, just like shot up. We had been making millions of dollars for years and
that's what I'm referring to.
Building a portfolio for years, and our wealth shot up. And I thought, and this is my fault, I thought that Trump was going to get reelected and all the tax cuts were going to stay, all the accelerated depreciation was going to stay, the market was going to be good, and then the election was stolen. And that's right, I said it, goddammit. Then the election was stolen, and we get this guy, and then immediately fucking swept the rug out from under everything. You know what I mean? Immediately swept it. And it reminded me, like, first of all, thank God we've always been, like, I'm a little loose sometimes because I invest, right? And invest is risk, okay? But, I'm sitting here wearing these shoes. These are $200 pair of shoes or so. These were a gift. You know, like somebody gave these
nice
to me
gift.
for speaking at an event. You know, I don't go out and buy stuff. Like we went to Cabo last weekend, and you know, all of her Louis Vuitton stuff I bought as a gift for her. But I'm carrying a Louis Vuitton bag and a Louis Vuitton thing, and both of those were gifts from Brandon Brittingham to me. You know, I would never buy shit like that. You know, I got 3 or 4 pair of Louis Vuitton shoes and stuff like that. They've all been gifts from Brandon or clients or something like that, right? Whereas the normal person thinks, oh, I need to represent wealth, you know? And I've learned that if you start to look like you got a whole lot of money, the vultures start circling around you, you know? And on one hand, you know, we spent a lot of money in 2022 and 23. Amy and I spent a lot. I mean, we're sitting in a $10 million building, and we didn't go ask the internet for handouts. Hey, can you help us finance the furniture? We're looking to raise money. We'll give you 10% stake in the furniture. We didn't say, hey, we'll let you have some ownership in the building. You know, I was going to let some of the Apex executives invest in the building with me. Hey, you can have some ownership in this. We're going to rent it out. And then we started talking, and she's like, you can afford it. Just buy it yourself. What the fuck you want other people in on your shit for?
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And I had for the record, if you buy a commercial building, buying the building is the easy part.
Yeah.
We have a 22,000 square foot building. You're sitting in a room right now with $10,000-$15,000 worth of shit in it. Just this fucking room that we're recording in right this second, okay? So times that by, and this is 500 square feet. So times that by 22,000, whatever that fucking number is. So I buy the building for $5 million. Right now, commercial property's distressed. I bought the building for $4.5 million. Commercial property's distressed. We got a hell of a deal. We negotiated down on it. I put $2 million. First of all, I thought, cool, we own a building, babe. I never bought commercial real estate. We've leased. Okay, and we were going to spend $80,000 a month on a lease, and we end up buying this thing, and it's like $26,000 a month or something like that. $36,000 a month, right? So saves us a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And we were spending $1.2 million a year in hotel fees for throwing events. So it saves us that right out of the gate, right? But then we go to like, I flip homes, okay? So I go buy a $400,000 home, put 50 grand in it, 75 grand in it, sell it for 600 grand. We're good, okay? Cool. I'm thinking it's going to be the fucking same here. We're going to put 600, you know, we're going to put 100, maybe $200,000 into this thing. $2.5 million fucking dollars later. $2.5 million. We tore down everything in this building but the walls. We ripped out the carpet. The exterior walls, right? Every office is new. This room didn't exist. That room didn't exist. Like and I'm thinking, okay, cool. You know what? I don't know, maybe a couple $100,000. The fucking paint in this building was a couple $100,000. Okay. And so then, okay, that's the expensive part. You know, we're through all that. And then everybody looks at me and goes, hey, boss, you want me to stand or are you going to buy a desk? Oh, shit. We need 22,000 square foot of furniture. You know, like that's a quarter of a Nebraska furniture that we had to fucking buy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's another $1 million, right? And at this time, I don't know all this is going to happen. It's the end of 2022. I don't know all this is going to happen. Or it's actually, 22 is when we bought this. So it's the end of 22. And at this time, Amy and I are about to buy a $7 million home.
Boom.
Okay.
It was going to be valued at that, but wasn't going to buy it.
I think we're going to pay $5 for it. Yeah, I think we're going to pay $5 for it.
We're going to pay about $2 million for the lot.
Yeah, you heard that? Say that again?
$2 million for the lot.
How big was that lot?
An acre.
Half an acre.
It was a full acre, by golly.
Yeah.
But there was a 25-foot retaining wall along the length of that acre, so that was going to be pricey.
Where was this at?
Up off of the new PGA golf course.
Nice. Smack dab in the heart of the city.
Freaking fantastic.
In the heart of the city.
Glorious.
You should take the wife up there to eat. The restaurants up there, the back porch is really cool, man. Okay. It's like you're out in Arizona. It really looks like Arizona.
Yeah. Amazing.
And so we put $500,000 or $200,000 down on the lot or whatever, and the builder.
Get the money back?
My whole life, I dreamt of building.
Talk about that, Sean.
My whole life, I dreamt of this builder building a home for me. I used to be an electrician when I was a teen, and we wired their houses in West Frisco. And I was like, one day this builder's gonna. I'm not gonna say his name because he's a fucking dickhead. One day,
fuck that guy.
we were gonna. I was gonna have this guy build a house, man. If you're gonna build me a $5 million house, like I want to be treated like a $5 million customer, man.
Yeah.
Fucking.
This is like the forever house.
rolled out
like,
the red
grandkids are
carpet
gonna
for
come
me,
see us
and this
at.
guy was a fucking pompous dick
it's
sucker,
like-
man. Fuck him.
I don't know how it was legal for them to be doing what they were doing.
And so I
It was
asked for my money back,
ridiculous.
and I got my money back. And one day I just came home and told Amy, I said, I think we ought to just, like our house.
That conversation never happened. You just fucking did it. And I was like, pardon?
Not true. Sort of true. Sort of. There's two sides to every story.
Maybe it felt that way.
So I got the money
continue.
back, and I tell Amy, I'm like, listen, we live in a big house, right? We live on a corner lot. We have the best lot in the whole neighborhood. Yeah. We have a 5,000 plus square foot home.
You're straight selling her on this right now.
And I'm like, we have a 2.8% interest rate on a 5,000 square foot, $2 million home. Like, there's people renting apartments with 2 bedrooms for more money than we pay for this house, right? Because we didn't buy it for $2 million. That's just what it's worth now. We lived there for 6 years, and I was like, I don't think it's worth just moving to the other side of town for a dream home. I'm the kind of person, like, I slept in prison, and I don't want my family to sleep in prison, but I don't think we need to go too luxurious. That's not now I'll flip an expensive home, right? But it's not my thing to necessarily live in this mansion. I'd have to have hundreds of millions cash to want to do something like that. But I'm trying to make her happy. So I said, hey, babe, let's go to Oklahoma and let's just go look at land up there. Maybe we'll buy a ranch or something like that. So we go up there and we look at 3 of the shittiest fucking pieces of property you could ever imagine looking at.
I was not happy.
There was nothing to it, right? And they were,
I was like,
and I'm thinking,
trading that.
we
for,
looked at 20 and 50 and 70 acre places, right?
Yeah.
And we drove back and we were disappointed, but I had a secret. I was going back. And I went back up there to Oklahoma the next week without Amy, and she didn't know that I'd already she knew I'd gotten a refund for this money, but she thinks we're just going to go buy another dream home. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
I didn't think anything. I was just, knew I was in limbo.
So I go meet this realtor, Lacey, and she's just cool as shit. You know what I mean? And you were there, right? Were you not there? Well, yeah. And she's just cool as shit. And she goes, I got this off-market property from this guy that, it's not over in this part of town. It's about an hour away from here, which is actually closer than where we were looking.
Yeah.
She goes, let me just take you over there. And I haven't seen it, but it's in the Dallas-y part of Ardmore where all the people with money live. Maybe that's more your speed, right? Because this place I was looking at with her was the sheriff owned it.
They call that speed out there?
And I said, the sheriff, the sheriff owned this place, and she goes, so you'd be neighbors with the sheriff? And I was like, that never works out in any movie I've ever seen in my fucking life. Never. There's no way I'm sharing a fence with the sheriff. Fuck that. I'm out, right? And so we go down the street to this other place in Ardmore, and as soon as we pull on the property, I'm like, oh, this is a really nice piece of land. And then it just kept going. Remember, I'm looking at 50 acres. This thing's 400. And it just kept going. And we got to the back, and there's this beautiful 25-acre lake with a huge dam on it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm buying this place. I'm fucking buying this fucking place. And so I wrote an offer right there. And I came home, and I told Amy, hey, about that land thing, I bought us a ranch. And she goes, what? I was like, yeah, I bought us 400 acres in Oklahoma.
Oh, shit.
She's like, what? Now, mind you, you've been to the ranch. That road didn't exist.
Yeah.
There's 3 ponds that are there now that didn't exist. The water, the system that we set up for the water to flow, it was a floodplain. Now it's flood protected and feeds back into the river. Like this place was just raw land, but I could just see it. I just knew
the vision.
that I had the vision for what this fucking ranch could be. Right? She don't got that vision. She's just like, you bought fucking.
I had a vision for a house.
You bought $3 million. We were about to buy a $5 million house. You bought $3 million mound of dirt. And I was like, well, just wait, because I got to put another $500,000 into it to get it where I want it.
Story.
It was my $2 million 1-acre piece of dirt, or $3 million 400-acre piece of dirt. I was like, okay, you win.
Dude, you do have a nice road. What'd that road cost you?
120 grand.
That's a hell of an investment for a
So,
road.
Yeah,
I
but
paid
into perspective, how much
tractor.
those roads cost
For
out there.
Yeah.
all the work
This is
out there, it
just
was
rough.
400 grand. So and that's
For all the
like,
land, all the dirt moving and everything.
all the dirt
pond?
moving, the pond digging, the clearing of how we set everything up, right? But I'm ready for the end of the world, bro. You know what I mean?
You're definitely prepared for that.
Fucking ready
I've
for the
learned
end of the
some
world.
things. I got an EMP protector on my car now
Exactly.
because of you.
Yeah, you
I got
do.
the guns
Stopping
rolling.
us.
I'm ready.
Nice work.
I know how to get to the ranch.
Nice work.
If I had to walk, I'm there.
But
We got it.
this was the brilliance of what I
Seriously.
did. And so here's.
But can I take a step back real quick?
Yes.
Because all these men, sometimes we talk to these men, they're like, I need to talk to my wife. I think that's really weak to have to do that. I've never had to do that with my wife. My wife's never had to talk to
Start
me
of a
about
great
things.
conversation.
What do you say to the guy? Like, you just pulled a $6 million switch on your wife, and you didn't ask her one piece of advice or permission. You just did it. What do you get for these guys that need to ask them to spend like $3,000?
My wife, and I will let her answer this, but my wife knows that no matter what, I'm going to handle it. I have never let her down. We've been through tough times.
Yeah.
Shit gets fucked up, but she knows no matter what, this motherfucker will stand up and go handle his business no matter what. Right? Into the world, he'll go kill a cow. Right? The fucking, if money's tight, he'll go sell something. He will fucking, I have never let this woman down. She's never missed a meal. Our kids have never missed a semester in school. She knows that no matter what, this guy, the guys that got to go ask their wife, they let their wife down a whole bunch. They've broken promises. Their wife don't trust them. Amy trusts me. You heard her go, well, 400 acres sounds fucking stupid, but okay, you know, okay, this is my wife. She's like, he's little, he's off, but he always seems to kind of know a little bit about the future. And maybe having a city in the middle of the having a house in a city in the middle of the zombie apocalypse isn't the best fucking idea with the way things are going right now. And maybe my husband, who's a manly man, maybe going and living off the land, maybe that'll help our kids. Maybe it'll give him some fucking peace finally for the first time in his fucking life, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so, but I haven't let her down, so she doesn't have to ask me. She's never let me down either, so she don't got to ask me for permission, you know? And the truth is, I didn't go and blow it on gambling in Vegas. I didn't go and I bought it on something that if we need to sell right now, it's worth double what we fucking paid for it. And 2 years later, it's worth double what we paid for it because I enhanced it. There's people all the time offering Jimmy, my rancher, hey, man, what we got to do to buy this thing from your dude? And he's like, that guy ain't fucking you. You're going to have to get it from his cold, dead hands. He ain't going to give it to you. You know, there's never been anything in my life that I've ever had. In Lamborghinis, private jets, fucking, you know, vacation mansions that I have just died to get to every single week. And I've had this thing for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And I'll drive a Lamborghini for 3 months and be like, fuck it. I'm over, back to the F-250. You know what I mean? But like this ranch, like I'm mad that I got to work with Jeremy Miner on Saturday this week because that takes away ranch time, and I wasn't there last weekend. My cows miss me, you know. But I've never let her down. What is your take on that?
So
You better back me up, goddammit.
You know I will. I think ultimately, I mean, he hit the nail on the head with like, I trust him 110%. And plus in terms of, I think with our personalities too, we're both very independent people. And like, and I think the way we manage like our lives and our money is like just really unique from everybody else. And I think every marriage on the planet, I got to go ask my wife, or wife's like, I got to go ask my husband. Like with us, we have had separate finances since we first were together. We don't have a joint account. We don't have any of that. However,
I have no idea how much money she has.
We do have joint assets. So we do have we have our trust, we have houses we own together, we have all that, but we're our own people, and we handle ourselves, and we respect the other person as their own person. I know he don't need me. He knows I don't need him. So the way we
you need me.
I don't want to be without you.
Yeah,
However,
I need you too, though.
Exactly. It's mutual. There's that mutual respect and the mutual independence. And I think that that's so rare nowadays. I feel like a lot of people, they just get married and they're completely dependent upon one another. Like 1,000%. And like they can't think separately. They can't, operate independently. And for us, we're able to operate totally independently, yet also so absolutely like in love. And we don't want to be without each other, but we're just strong individuals. And so with anytime you have to make a decision, like, I totally trust you. I'm fine with that. Anytime I have to make it, like I was going to be 100% in charge of this entire $2 million lot. doing the whole thing, and he had 1,000% trust in me.
Yeah.
Like, you got
Cool.
it. Yeah.
There's only 5 people in my entire life that have given me unconditional love. That's her and the 4 kids. And the least I can do for them is try to make the right decisions for them. I did this not because I want to go play Yellowstone. People were saying that. It's like, oh, you want to play Yellowstone? First
But
of all,
it is fun.
First of all, yes. But
And
Who
to be a
doesn't want to
cowboy.
go play
and Mac
Yellowstone?
is a lot like Rip, right? Let's all agree with that, right? Like,
Wild.
and,
You did
and
get a
yes,
Rip.
he will drop your ass off at the train station, you know. But on the flip side, she knows that, like, hey, he's doing this because if the end of the world, he's still going to take care of us. You know, if best case scenario, we got a lot of 4-wheelers and tractors and go get to burn shit and have a good time. Worst case scenario, my husband's going to get us somewhere where we can still survive while other people can't, you know? But here's the thing is, like, with me, anybody can buy a home, right? 3 to 5% down. Some people can buy investment properties with 20 to 25% down.
Yeah.
The reason why most people don't own land is because a bank wants 40% down on land. It's that simple. It's not that's just how it works. If you're going to get a bank loan or you got to raise money, we see the dudes raising money for their ranch all the damn time on the internet, right, out in LA or whatever. And listen, the bank's not going to give you a loan unless you got 40% down. Okay, so most people can't afford land because if you're going to go buy $1 million tract of land in Texas and Oklahoma, land's expensive everywhere. If you're going to go buy that, you need $400,000 down. But me, I'm a financial genius, right? I play a dumbass on the internet, but I'm actually really fucking smart. And so I go and I find, and I do this all the time. We flip 2,000 acres of land at this point doing this model. I go and I talk to the realtor. I'm like, just put me in contact with the fucking seller, right? Like, I don't need you to be the go-between because you're not going to understand what the fuck I'm about to say, and I need
Well, you understand real estate too. You understand every aspect of the deal.
I won't blow the deal.
And most
you might
people
blow the deal.
don't
I won't
know
blow
what
it.
you know.
Right. So I go and I said, here's what I'll do for you. And this has been one of the biggest blessings because of friendship became of this. I said, he wanted 2.75 for the property, as is, without the roads or anything. I said, I'll give you $2.5 million for it. And, okay, that's a decent offer, okay? I'll give you $500,000 cash money down, and I need you to carry the note for the remaining $2 million at 0% interest for 2 years, and I'll pay you $25,000 a month. The dude came back and he goes, 0% interest, you're out of your fucking mind. Now, mind you, this house we were going to build, by the time it would have been done being built, interest rates could have been 7, 8, 9%. They're on the come up right now, okay? I'm sitting at 2.8% on my fucking primary residence. So I said, but listen, okay, first of all, I know you didn't pay no $2.5 million for this land because I know you're a local, all right? So you're making a profit there. Right now, when's the last time you got $25,000 a month cash flow coming in? Okay, so I'm giving you money every single month for this property. And at the end of 2 years, I'll owe you $1.5 million, and I'll either refinance it or me and you'll just continue with the process that we got. And he's like, man, I really need like 4 or 5% interest. I'm like, I'm sure you do, but this is what I'm offering. But I'll also throw in this because I'm a deal maker. I said,
But wait, there's more.
I said, I noticed that you've got cows out here. What are you going to do with the cows? We'll get them off the property, blah, blah. What if you just left them?
Yeah.
How much are you going to pay to rent another piece of property to put the cows on? What if you just left them here? I'll take care of them, you know? And what you give your ranch hands access to my ranch? What if you still fish and hunt? This is some of the best hunting land in Oklahoma. If you want to come out and kill a deer or two with your kids once a year, or you want to hunt hogs, you got the fucking gate code. Treat it as if it's your own. So not only am I buying this from you and paying you a premium and paying you cash flow every single month, that you weren't getting from cattle, that you weren't getting from just owning the property, treat it as if it's your own. Come out here, hang out all you want. Here's the code to my garage. Here's the keys to my 4-wheelers. Treat it as if you fucking want it. And the guy's like, well, shit, I got nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah.
You're paying me, and I got
no.
all the same perks that I've had of owning this thing. And I was like, you're going to treat it well, right? Yeah. Then I go out there and I drop $400,000 enhancing it with rock roads and tracks and all this stuff to make the tractor easier to get to the cows and to make the water to where it won't flood and everything else. Then this guy approaches me about 3 months later. I'm sitting at the gate and he pulls up and he goes, you got a minute? I don't know this dude. I mean, I know him because he comes on the property and his guys.
What's his name?
Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy.
And I said,
Jimmy's stone cold.
he's fucking cool. Yeah.
Fuck, dude, I wouldn't fuck with that guy.
I wouldn't either. And he said, man, I was a little mad at you about the situation with the 0% interest, but I realize you're pretty goddamn smart now that I think about it. And I was like, you goddamn right I am. And he goes, well, let me tell you, I've got a deal up the road that's 1,200 acres, and I think we can get it at a good deal like what you put up over here. If I go find properties, will you do your financial wizardry with the properties, and I'll move them. I'll buy them from farmers, and then we'll move them together. We went up the street and made $400,000 on a flip in about 3 months. You know, and so then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, you're my best friend." You know, it's like he's like, "Shit, we got right now. We're doing a lake deal that we got for 1.3 million that will end up selling for $4 to $4.5 million over the next year. You know, we're selling it off. We've already sold 5 lots. We bought it for $10,000 an acre. We've already sold 5 lots at $50,000 an acre. You know what I mean? There's our down payment money. Poof. You know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's out there talking to the farmers, and he's like, as if he's going to buy it. And then he's got this guy in Dallas that's the financial guy that knows how to put everything together. And the $1.3 million deal is worth about $4.5 million. So I got the sellers to carry a second so that the bank only financed us the 1.3 and the sellers threw away the second. So it's like fucking, we're just in that bitch for no money down. And then we've already got cash coming in, and I've got the banks to agree that every lot we sell, they get $10,000, we keep 40. So we're just we're rolling with it, right? That's put money back in his pocket. And we, like I said, we've already sold 5 lots at $50,000 each. This is $250,000 of the 1.3. That's the 3 of the 1.3 pretty much covered, and we ain't even finished buying the thing yet. You know,
that's powerful.
So yesterday, I was supposed to close on a $2.1 million deal in Salina. Actually works out okay. It's actually going to work out okay.
Is it?
I've had this thing under contract for 3 months, and at the last minute on Good Friday, turns out it was a bad Friday, and they said they weren't going to be able to buy. And they said they just needed more time. They're selling the buyers.
Who does that on Good Friday?
Yeah, so we own 25 acres in Salina, Texas, which is the largest residential plot of land in that city. Okay, it's in Collin County, the richest county in Texas. We got it for a little less than $2 million. We're selling it for $2.1 million just to get the fuck out of it.
Nice property.
Fucking beautiful.
It's beautiful. Okay.
Somebody tear the house. The house needs to be torn down. That's there. It's an old house. Somebody tear that house down and have a fuck you money estate, bro. It is beautiful.
It's amazing.
It is beautiful.
Is that the house I said I wanted to move into? Is that the one? You were talking
about?
Yeah.
I told you you did not.
They're like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
And so, and it can be subdivided into 5-acre lots, but somebody could literally own the nicest piece of property in Collin County up there in reality. And so anyway, we own it. And these people are buying it for 2.1. We'll make a quick couple bucks to get out from under it, you know, in a few months, about a 3-month turn time. And then they come 3 months later and it's like, oh, we can't do it. Like, fuck. So yesterday, they're still wanting to buy the home, but they needed another 3 months. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it 3 months. So I negotiated a deal with them to where they sent me an additional $125,000 non-refundable cash to my bank account to hold it. Yeah, to hold it for 45 more days. That means if they don't close on it, I got $125,000 no matter what. And to hold it for another 45 days. And I got them to raise the price to 2.25, right? So now I got them for 125 cash, and I raised the price of the house for another $125,000 cash. Got the real estate agent to keep his fucking commission as if it was 2.1 million. He can't get the increase because he fucked up and let his people not buy it in time, right? And so I ended up
Joey.
Actually, that 45 days, make another $125,000. And worst case scenario, they don't close. I put the bitch back on the market for 2.5, like I was going to originally. So, you know,
that's great.
But that's the thing. Most people, they would have been told no, or that they couldn't do it, and they wouldn't negotiate. But see, like, I'm not an emotional money guy. I'm like, hey man, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Here's what makes sense to me. It's still a fucking steal for you guys because I'm gonna sell it for 2.5. If not, I you know. But in 6 months, if you needed it for 3 months, another 3 months, 6 months, I could have sold it for 2.5. But I had you guys locked up because you were quick actors in January, and I bought it in December, and now you fucking around doing this, like. I'm going to give you 45 more days and non-refundable earnest money that doesn't go to the it goes to the title company, and then the title company immediately deposits it in my account. They'll wire it over to me. This is what I need to do. This is the only way that it makes sense, and you're still getting a hell of a deal. And if your shit doesn't close in the next 30 days, you're fucked anyway, so you might as well just, let me not be fucked. Yeah. And they were like, all right, fuck it. So I signed the deal this morning with them. I'll get the money by Friday to come to my account. Then, off to the races again. And in 45 days at the middle of May, maybe sooner, then we'll have this house. And I end up making an additional 125 grand that I got paid no matter what. Even if they don't close, and I turn around and I sell it for 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, because I think it's worth $3 million, right? Yeah. Like, it's 25 acres, and the cheapest acreage is farmland, like on the side of the highway in Salina, that's $90,000 an acre. This is residential land with a pond on. It's got a fucking 2-acre pond in the middle of it. It's beautiful. Nice. Yeah. Sitting at the highest point in the city.
It's the most beautiful view.
Oh, dude, unreal.
And even a nice fence. They've got a nice little white fence.
It's beautiful. The house is just shit. So what happens is people go out there. The realtors, good friends of mine, and I didn't have this conversation with them because it didn't dawn on me, but they put up pictures of the house, so people go out there thinking the house is going to be pretty, and then realize the house needs to be torn down. And I was like, this time, if we relist it, no pictures of the house, right? So just pictures of the dirt, and it was going to cost me 15 grand to tear the house down. So
is that it?
Yeah. So because I'm willing to do it. All I need to do is get my hands behind an excavator. Fuck the labor. We just need to rent dump trucks. We cut the electricity off, and
so 15 grand is just to rent the excavator, Johnny.
No, and the dumpsters.
Oh.
But I wouldn't rent. This is my homie hookup.
Let's go.
Right? It's a homie hookup anyway. So
I'm down.
Yeah, I'll drive a bulldozer through that motherfucker. Let's fucking go. I've been wanting to do that my whole life.
Hell yeah.
Fuck around and do not buy it. God damn it! I want to drive a bulldozer through a house.
That's gonna be good stuff.
I'll excavate that pool too. I'll pull every piece of that fucking pool out, put it in there.
We'll tear the house down when they buy it.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that for free, just for the fun of it. Hey, you rent the fucking cat and the fucking excavator. I'm in it.
Let's do it. I'm down with that. So, Standing on Business podcast. That's a lot. You're a millionaire. You two are millionaires. That's a lot. I'm not that, and I don't have that kind of money. Where would I start? Because a lot of men and women are going to, that's great for Ryan and Amy. They've been at the game, but let's say you got someone with a little money. Where do they start? Amy or Ryan, where do they start? What do they do? So most of them will never just do that. With a little bit, because they're like, what's the real effect of something that when I start with 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever that might be? Where would they start?
Well, I think a lot of
first, let me say this. Everybody listening, I started this in 2004. So it's been 20 years. Okay, so but before Amy says what she's going to say, which is going to be brilliant, you got to remember that this didn't happen overnight, and it didn't compound until 2020. So from 2004 to 2020, we're just swinging singles. Then all of a sudden in 2020, we get a home run. Okay, so first of all, you got to think there. We're buying $2 million property now because a $10,000 flip doesn't really impress us. But shit, 6 years ago, we'd take a $10,000 flip in a fucking heartbeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, beautiful, your turn.
Well, I think a lot of people, they set this giant goal and then they just think that it's so big. Like, they see people driving down the road in a really nice car and they wonder, like, what do? They people don't know just how to take the first step. They don't realize there's going to be steps. You can't just automatically it's like you can't just go to the gym one time and be like, where's my abs?
Really?
Well, you're just special.
I don't have abs. They're in there somewhere.
But
I got pizza.
I think just understanding that you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And just, first of all, treating your money with so much respect, respecting every $1, $5, $10, and just immediately treating your money in terms of a way of just this is one thing that I taught you that he didn't even do when we first met was
I was going to say that.
Don't have your money just in one account.
Yeah.
Don't have your money spread like a framework. If you're starting and you just have one account, create a savings account, create two savings accounts actually, and have 7% of your paycheck go into one, 10% of your paycheck go in the other. If that's too much at first, start lower, then gradually, so that you don't even know it. And then in a year, that's going to be a nominal amount of money. You can start somewhere and invest that somewhere. When I was 19, I was always fascinated with finance and creating a framework of wealth. But when I was 19, I remember shopping for land because I knew Scottsdale was a booming city. And I immediately was like, I saved $10,000. Like, I need to go buy land. I knew like that is the one thing that is the best investment ever is land. And I was starting at such a small point.
That's why we own a ranch.
That's why we own a ranch. But I remember at 19, I was shopping for land because I knew like what I could buy like 1 acre. It was like, no, I had like $10,000 or something. But still, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And even though it seemed like a small amount, $10,000 to put into something, like you have to start somewhere, and don't expect some grandiose return in the beginning. It's okay to start small. It's okay to have small returns and to slowly build over time. But if you start today and if you start putting money away, that will compound over time, not just grow, but compound. Mm-hmm. And you'll wake up in 5 years and 10 years and you'll be so happy you started when you did, because you were able to get that much higher, that much faster, because you started today. And the second that you started really creating a framework of accounts, as opposed to just, being Mr. fast moving entrepreneur, when you created a framework is when that really gave it your portfolio wings and was able to grow.
Yeah, I have money in places I forget I got money at this point. Mm-hmm. Amy's like, hey, did you know you have $1 million in Providence? It's like, oh yeah, I fucking forgot about that.
Like taxes for him. I'm like,
but it's because I save and it just automatically goes places.
Which is great. And then I'm like so OCD documenter of all things spreadsheets. Like I'm just like to the T of everything. So now it's going to be fantastic. And now because at the end of the day, I always go by, idioms and whatever metaphors and all the things. What you measure grows.
That's facts.
So the more you have 100%. Your thumb on something, the more control and the more you're able to grow it faster.
So I have a rule. On YouTube, there's a video by me called 21 Rules of Money. Watch it. Everybody who is not financial savvy, that doesn't want to go get a Series 6 like my beautiful wife here and Series 7 and all that crap, just go watch the Rules of Money and use that as a framework to build your entire portfolio by. One of the rules in that, there's 21 of them. One of the rules is the 70-20-10 rule, okay? That means that you live on 70% of your income, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you take 20% of your income and put it into an investment, okay? A savings account. In the beginning, you need to save money before you can invest money, right? Savings account, stock market, money market account, something of that nature. And then 10% needs to be your tithe that you give away to charity. If you're not a religious person, if you're not a Christian like I am, we don't have to use the word tithe, but your charitable giving. The reason why, let's reverse engineer this. The reason why you give 10% of your money to charity is because that creates an abundant mindset that I'll never miss this money. I can give this money. I'll never miss this money. And you're already planting seeds of generosity out there, and it opens, and the subconsciously that's the biblical principle behind that, is that's an abundant thinking and seed planting philosophy, right? Yes. So it opens your mind. The 20% investment teaches you, like when I met Amy, I was a millionaire, right? And we're making, good money. She was making good money. I was making good money. I'm a millionaire. I just came out of divorce, still a fucking millionaire, making good money every month, putting all my money into my investment at the time was Facebook ads. And Amy goes, Jesus Christ, this is a terrible idea. Until she saw the return on ad spend I was getting, she's like, yeah, you should put all your money in that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And so, but her coming from the stock market, that wasn't what people typically invested in, right? And so, but I've always put 20% into investments. Okay. I buy, like when in 2006, I'm fixing to go to federal prison. And even then, every paycheck that I got, I'm putting, money into the stock market. I'm buying Microsoft, Morgan Stanley, just blue chip. You don't have to go do a bunch of market research on shit. You're just like, you know what? Tesla, it's probably not fucking going anywhere. You can probably buy that. Apple, it's not going anywhere. You can buy that. It's going to have ups and downs, but we're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, Apple went out of business. It's not going to fucking happen, right? Mm-hmm. So there's always going to be some equity in that. Hey, you never know. And so you never know, but there's a pretty damn good educated guess that Chevrolet, Ford, Tesla, Apple, Goldman Sachs, those guys ain't going to fucking just blow up. It's not going to go to zero. It might go down and you might have to sell it in a down market because you need money. But anyway, so, I've always put 20% back in. And the 20, when Amy and I met, it was 2014, I'm a millionaire and I have a $280 a month car payment. I leased an Infiniti G35 4-door, right? And which is a great car. Infiniti had, the reason why I leased that is Infiniti doesn't sell a lot of cars, so they have very strong lease incentives for people to lease those cars. And so I went, found the cheapest lease for the nicest car, dollar for dollar, and that's what I drove. It was a respectable car. It didn't look like some scrub in a beat up ass car, and it was a nice, luxurious car with cool technology.
A lot of adventures in that thing.
But it was cheap, smelled like weed all the time. It was cheap.
Yes, it did.
But I lived in a $7,000 a month apartment. And so you might think, oh, well, what the fuck were you doing living in a $7,000 a month apartment? On the 5th floor of that apartment complex, I threw events. That's where Break Free Academy took place. So I could go rent a $10,000 for the weekend hotel room and feed everybody, or I could pay $7,000 a month to live there full time. And like, dude, I was like the Drummonds, you know what I'm saying, from Different Strokes. Like, my front door was an elevator, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, every day when you got off the elevator, that was there was no front door. It was just an elevator. It's like, dude, that never got fucking old. No, man, you just, like, when you got on the elevator, you had a key card, and that was your front door. Yeah, dude.
Where's this place at? Right down here in Dallas?
Yeah, down here in Dallas. Yeah. And so, like, Prince Fielder was our neighbor. That guy at the time was making $180 million in baseball money, right?
Yeah,
like,
great ball player.
And there was a guy there, by the way, and this started so much for me. This is that power of proximity. We're eventually going to get into that topic. But there's I bought this penthouse, or rented this penthouse, and there was a guy named Elgin that lived in the same penthouse in the next floor. And Elgin, like, I go, this is a funny story. In our parking garage, there's 3 Ferraris, 2 Lamborghinis, and a McLaren P1. Okay? Like, for anybody that's a gearhead, you're like, shit, that's $5, $6, $7 million worth of cars. Okay? I get in the elevator one day, and there's an older gentleman in the elevator, very well kept, Robert Graham shirt kind of a guy. And he says, I said, man, Prince Fielder's got some dope-ass rides, huh? And he goes, Prince, those are mine. And I went, no shit. That's your P1 over there? So I didn't even know those were real cars. I thought they were just stuff they put in magazines, right? And he never drove it. And I asked him one day, he sold it. And he never drove this car. It was always plugged in, and he sold it. And I said,
all these big giant extension cords going into all these cars throughout the parking garage.
And I said, hey, that car, that it's gone. What happened to it? You always kept it plugged in. Did it not run? Was it an electric car? And he goes, no, it's a McLaren P1. If you don't keep the battery plugged in and the battery goes out, it's $300,000 for a new battery. And so we keep it plugged in. And I'm like, holy shit, $300. I'm driving a $290 a month car. You know what I'm saying? and like, I couldn't even wrap I said, how much does that car cost? He said, I paid $970,000 for it. For a fucking car? Holy shit, I didn't even know they made cars like that, right? And he goes, like, maybe a month later I come and that car's gone. And I'm like, hey, what happened to that car, the $1 million car that you had? And he goes, I sold it. And I'm thinking, my little fucking small-minded scarcity mindset, I'm like, oh, man, maybe he needed the money or whatever. And I go, what'd you sell it for? And he goes, $1.8 million. Wow. I'm like, this dude just made more money than me in a year off of fucking driving the coolest car ever fucking seen in my life. Okay, old man, how does that work? And so he gives me the game on how to buy and sell exotic cars. So I put this like goal in my mind. One day I'm going to be like Elgin, and I'm going to buy and sell exotic cars. And I'm going to figure out how to do it. So I go and I watch videos about it. I bought books about it. I bought courses about it because I don't want to bother him. You know what I mean? He's super rich and you know, has a job and all this other stuff. So
I think that's a huge power move for your wins too. I'll come back to it.
Dude, just like immense myself in this shit.
Yeah.
And so now I've owned 19 fucking exotic cars. I haven't had a P1, you know, but because they're fucking $4 million now. But you know, in my dream car's a 918. I haven't had it. But other than that, I've had Rolls Royce. I'm not a Ferrari guy, so I've had me and Andy Frisella were talking about this weekend. He's like, Ferrari's the best. It's like, I don't know. He's
We
like,
haven't
no, I'm
owned
telling
one.
you. He's like, the front engine Ferraris are the best. And I'm like, I don't know, never had one, never drove one, not my thing, you know. But to each his own. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But I've had, 5 Lamborghinis or maybe 6, and I've had 4 or 5 McLarens, and I've had Rolls Royce. I even had an Acura NSX one time. That's a great story. I go in there, and they're going to sell me this Acura for $173,000. But I already been reading, so I know that they can give me a $30,000 discount on it if I finance it. So I negotiate it down to $40,000, $140,000, and I go back in the box, and they're expecting me to do all this stuff, and I was like, no, I want to finance it. And they're like, no, well, that changes it. No, we got an agreement right here. That's a contract. So they end up selling me this car for $140,000, turn around, sold it for $160,000, a few months later. I didn't really like that car that much, or I'd have kept it, but I flipped one car and either got it for free or made $5,000, worked my way up through Lamborghini. At one point, I bought a Lamborghini Huracan STO. I put 8 miles on it and sold it for $125,000 more than I paid. Paid off my truck. Boom. Now all of a sudden I got a free paid off vehicle because I bought and sold Lamborghinis. Yeah. It wasn't 1.8 million, but I never made, I don't know about you listening or watching this, but you ever made $125,000 off a car in 2 days? I have. And so then we kept flipping stuff, then I paid off her car. And so now we have 2 primary vehicles that no matter what, they can't tax it, they can't take it away from us that we own,
Do you have a car ordered too right now?
I don't have anything on order right now.
We canceled it.
I canceled it. Yeah.
But you do that in the market. Just like you
right
do
now
with
it's not the
cars
market.
and Rolexes.
Yeah.
They think you're flossing or flaunting that shit. You're not. You're making money on every Rolex.
I've sold $4 million worth of Rolexes.
Okay,
and now I got all mine for free. And now I don't ever have to pay for a Rolex again. I've got every fucking make and model of Rolex I've ever wanted. I think I got 12 or something like that, 8, 10, somewhere around there. And, I still have a McLaren 720, a Porsche Turbo S. My F-250's paid for. Her brand new 2023 or 2024 Escalade's paid for. Because we've sold Rolexes and cars, we've paid for all of our Rolexes and cars, right?
Yeah.
And so now the market's not so good, so I'm not really fucking with them because I did that during the heyday of all that shit. There's other things. Now we're back in land. And so
land, hay, walnuts, and pecans.
That's what we got to do.
Cattle.
Cows. Beef is up fucking 400% in the last 3 years.
Crazy.
So, we sold 7 cows for $10,000 the other day. Like small cows, not even like cows. Calves, I
want to touch base on something that you said because this is important. You had somebody that gave you the game, and instead of going to him and wasting his time, you went and invested in yourself and immersed yourself, and you bought the books and you did the training.
Yep.
Quit calling us and asking us what fucking time Central Standard is.
Well,
sorry.
To make your point, the other day I made a post on Facebook about how to do a reverse merger acquisition to turn a company for an IPO. So you could take a company public, basically, right? And there's so many people ask me, well, how do you know this, that, and the other? It's like, bro, listen, I just gave you the game. You ever thought about going to Google? Fuck. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? If you want all that shit, go figure it out. How do you think I figured it out? You think I just woke up and God downloaded that fucking knowledge into my brain? It's like, hey, I know how to take a company public. No, motherfucker, I went and bought books and watched videos and went to seminars and things. Just like when I was telling you guys this morning when I did the 54 houses. I went to a seminar. I paid somebody to learn from them, right? Like, people don't understand, like knowledge is not power until it's applied. And so many people, they want all this knowledge that they're not. The guy that was asking me, well, how do you do this with an IPO? Bitch, you don't even own a company. What the fuck do you care? You just, you know what I'm saying?
Stop wasting my time.
What the fuck?
Put your head in something else.
And if you really cared, like, this is what happened to me. One time, a guy goes, hey, man, I think we can I've been part of 3 IPOs. One time, I had a guy, he goes, hey, I think we can take a company public. And I went, I don't think it's that easy. And he goes, look, man, I read this book. And I was like, what book? And so I read the book, too. And I called him back, and I was like, I think we can take a company public. Right? So, and there's a lot more to that than people realize, taking a company public, because it's one thing to go public, but then the public has to buy it. You know? Yeah. So I've been a part of 2 IPOs that weren't that successful. We sold some stocks, but not a whole lot, technology companies. And then I was a part of another company that's $1 billion company that's in the process. It's like maybe a month to 6 months away from going public, but I've still been a part of that this whole time. And so, I pay attention. I want to learn. The whole reason I invest my money, even in deals that I've lost money on, is I learned. Okay, so maybe I put $200,000 into some restaurants with some dipshit and I lost some money on it. But guess what I learned? I learned how restaurants work. So if I ever decide to start my own restaurant, no, not to fucking operate like that asshole. I know what to do, how to market, what the margin should be, and how to make fucking money from it. And so, you know what? I could have went and spent 3 years in seminars at $50,000 a seminar and all this other shit, and it'd have been about the same amount of money that I've got invested anyway. Now I got the knowledge that when the time presents itself, I'll go buy a restaurant. You know?
Absolutely. Do you ever sort think about just doing consulting for that now? Just really focus on that young entrepreneur that's doing $500,000 or more. Actually, really need about $1 million or more.
We do. You know, I've helped that's the thing is like people maybe on the internet just look at me as like, oh, he runs a mastermind. I don't have a mastermind. I have a business association. It's two totally different fucking things. But we have digital training programs. But that's what I do. That's where most of my money comes from. Besides the investment stuff, is people pay me $5,000 an hour to consult them. People pay me $150,000 a year to work with me and get on the phone twice a month. And like the guy that I talked to this morning that just sold his company for almost $100 million, you know, that's somebody who pays me 6 figures a year to be able to pick up the phone. This fucking morning, 10 minutes before we walked in here, I saved that guy $1 million fucking dollars cash. He pays me 150 grand a year, and I saved him $1 million in 15 minutes on one fucking phone call.
That's just one instance too.
I've done that, and part of the reason why he also has that amount of money, right? Just a part, not the whole, but that one phone call literally saved him $1 million, not 999,000, not 998, exactly $1 fucking million from one phone call that took 15 minutes. And he goes, "Fuck, I never thought of that, dude. You just saved me $1 million."
That's all I need, bye.
Man, that's crazy.
You know,
that's why you got to get around.
And when that guy invested with me, by the way, originally he's been a client for 3 years. When that guy originally started investing $150,000 a year with me, maybe he made $1 million, maybe he made $500,000. So he's putting a sizable amount of investment, and I've helped him along the way. So that's what people like. I'm not a coach. People like, hey, coach, I'm not a fuck coach. This ain't a basketball team, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't play sports. I'm not a coach. I don't coach people up. I am a consultant that has a vast amount of, I've read 1,000 fucking books. I've taken pretty much every seminar that you could go to. And then not only did I go to the seminar, I went and did the shit, right? Sometimes it worked out. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes the money I save you is worth more than the money I make you. You know, I saved that guy $1 million mistake that he was going to make. Yeah. I saved him that. Right. And so that was like that in itself. It's like, oh, fuck, you know, thank you. You know, shit, I needed to hear that.
I think the biggest piece with you is that your ability to pivot, your ability to take what somebody would, you know, say is just a problem or something that's going to get them down in business and life. And you immediately pivot and you find a way to learn from it and benefit from it somehow. Always, no matter what it is. And I think it's a huge piece in terms of you like having lowering your ego and always just being able to learn. And we were saying in the last episode is like the ability to always learn, I think, is just lack of ego, right? Like somebody being in the elevator with Elgin, they'd be trying like act cool, maybe so Elgin would think he's cool. Like, no, you were wanting to learn. You weren't trying to, you know, play any part. You were just trying to learn. Like you just completely had your mind open and boom. And then you took action on it. You know, most people, they get into the situation where they're in a room and there's so many people they can learn from them. They're too busy judging other people and trying to put on a certain image themselves. And it's like, no, just open up and learn from the room you're in, you know?
People oftentimes judge me as not being that smart because I don't have to be in the room and talk a lot. You know, Elgin would meet 3 other bankers that were all in that building downstairs every morning for coffee. And I didn't just invite myself, but after a while, I just happened to just show up to grab coffee at the same time. You know, I'm a very perceptive person. And I didn't go down there and be like, yeah, well, I'm doing this and yeah, I'm doing that. I would just sit there and listen. Yeah. Wow, that's really cool, man. Congratulations, you know. And then what I'm doing is I'm soaking up all this knowledge, learning stocks to buy, learning cars to buy, learning vacation homes that they're doing and shit like that. Had I been talking, trying to impress them the whole time to try to make them think I'm something I'm not or that I'm better than them or I'm their equal, I'd have been talking and I wouldn't have learned anything.
Yep.
You know, instead, I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, mental note, you know. I don't want to take notes so I didn't look like a complete fool. It's like, came down for coffee. What are we learning about today, guys? Right? But I'm making mental notes. You know, at half the time I'd be over there on my phone. They think I was just drinking coffee, texting people, and I'm like fucking
Taking
for real
notes.
taking notes, you know. And, you know, again, like the cars. We haven't always made money on cars, but we have always made money on cars because I use them in marketing. I use them to throw car events. I met Kurt Lennington, the guy that I was telling you about. You know why I met him? Because I had a 720 and he had a 720. And the car dealer goes, you guys should meet each other. You're both kind of grumpy, tattooed up like white guys. You guys probably like each other. And fuck, turns out we love each other. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, good call, Simon. Yeah. And if it wasn't for that, then we wouldn't be able to say that, you know, we're friends with one of the industry leaders in the world. We wouldn't be able to say that, you know, he sent us a shitload of bits because of that car and meeting Kurt. He's probably sent us, that dude sent us so many referrals in business that I bought him a Rolex one year fucking randomly. A nice one too, right? Like that car, and maybe I lost money on that 2019 720. I probably did because I leased it because I planned on keeping it for longer than I actually did.
I don't remember.
But we made so much fucking money from Kurt coming and joining Apex and his referrals joining Apex and all this other stuff that like, fuck that car. And it was cool to drive, you know?
Even conversations at like the valet line. You go to a really nice restaurant and you're sitting and people are like, hey man, they start talking about your car. Like the amount of contacts that you make by driving a nice car and going to the right places is amazing.
Well, I couldn't tell you how many times I've walked out of Jerry Jones's place over there and people, I don't look like the guys there. Right, I look like this, and they wear suits and ties and shit. And we get in the elevator, and they're judging me, but yet they're looking. They're like, "He's wearing a $30,000, $50,000, depending on what I'm wearing, $100,000 watch." And then they're like, "Huh?" And then I walk out and get in a McLaren or get in a Porsche. You know what I mean? And they're like, hey man, what do you do for a living? Right? And all of a sudden I'm in with the fucking rich guys, you know? And I didn't have to open my mouth the elevator and go, oh, that's my McLaren, you know what I mean? The valet guy will pull it up and they'll be like, dude, nice car. Like, you want to sit in it? You know, you want to take a look at it? Go step on the gas. This shit's loud as fuck. Check it out. You know? And now all of a sudden we're cool. Next time I see them up there, they're like, hey man, what's up? Let me buy you a drink or whatever. You know?
It's on. Lead on the level that you're on.
That's it.
With Apex, do you have the entrepreneurs or entourage entrepreneurs? I have found that those two groups are where I'm really good at serving and helping. Executives, I can help them with back end stuff, but executives are where I basically shut the fuck up and let them listen and let them teach me a lot, because you have men and women that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars in there. It's such a powerful group, and a lot of people overtalk themselves and won't just shut up. And I think that's a superpower, to be quiet and let the ego subside to learn. There's a lot you can learn if you just shut up and let Todd speak and let Josh Steinberger speak. And not overtalk these men to try to look cool. That's a good, valid point that you bring up, especially with the 3 tiers that we have. You know, being here is one thing. Learning from them is everything else.
Exactly.
It makes us deadly.
I went to dinner with Todd last night, actually.
How's he?
And he's great. He's in great shape, and he's not on his bodybuilding. He has such a disciplined diet. He's like, I won't even eat a jelly bean, bro. Like, he's like such a disciplined individual. But last night we was throwing back some steak and potatoes. It was good. It was nice to him to be on a little bodybuilding break for a minute where I could, you know, just enjoy, you know, hanging out with him. But he's just a great human, you know, and very loyal, you know, and you know, just a very, very loyal dude. And
rare.
It is rare, you know, but we've got amazing people and executives, and you know, we're pretty selective on who we let in each one of our groups at this point, because we know one bad person kills the culture. So we're really just trying to take care of our people, but man, just the moves that are. Here's the thing, and I can't, like, notice I never drop anybody's name. Kurt, I talked about him, but I rarely drop anybody's name, is because, like, some of the biggest people out there, like there's a guy that's worth, you know, probably $600-700, maybe $800 million that's in executives. He never talks to anybody. You know, he just sits back there and he's totally quiet. Lives in one of the biggest, if not the biggest house in Frisco, Texas. And these are the kind of people that are in there, and, you know, but the guy's not wearing a Rolex. You know, he drives a Lamborghini. He has a Urus that he shows up in and parks it in the back. This quiet dude. And, you know, people would think, oh, who's this fucking guy or whatever. And that's the kind of people that we have in there. You know, this next week at Flying Friday, I've got a billionaire speaking that is an artificial intelligence. Just like, dude's I'm friends with the smartest person in the history of the world. He's alive right now. He's my friend. I talked to him Saturday when I was in Mexico. This guy's got to be the second smartest fucking person on record. There's just he hasn't taken the test to prove it or whatever the fuck, right? And I met him because of Amy, because she's cute and he was hitting on her. And
You're welcome.
but he'll be here speaking, you know, next week. He's owned an artificial intelligence company since 1993. You know, and these are the kind of people that we put in the room, not so that these guys can learn the latest hack on artificial intelligence, it's so that they can see the future. One time this guy told me, he said, we don't use artificial intelligence to do tasks that are already in existence. We use it to create ideas and turn them into a reality that nobody's thought of yet.
Mind blown.
That's next level.
That's
the next level.
That's
We're playing so small.
Yeah.
And I should probably, you always tell me this, I should tell people that these are the kind of things that I do.
Yeah.
And I guess I am now because you guys are good at
Now.
drawing this shit out of me. But like, you know,
We're your
we do
cheerleaders.
so much that people are just like, oh, that's just Stewman. He's a cool guy. And what's kind of been weird is I haven't taken a picture of my car or anything like that. First of all, I got one of the baddest fucking 720s on the planet. My dealer called me the other day and he's like, hey, I got a 750, sell it to you at a good deal. And I was like, let me tell you what I've done to my 720 and then you tell me if it's worth it. He's like, no, hang on to that thing. That's a good gig you got there. But I'm not this Instagram flashy guy anymore. You know, I'm not showing the pictures. Like we flew private to Cabo. Like that's what we like. We haven't changed. It's just that we're not putting that out there. But what happens is, I bet you there's people that watch us and go, "Oh, he fell off, bro. You don't see him owning a bunch of Lamborghinis and shit like that." But like we still fucking do. We just not.
Well, and I think a piece of it too is that we're nice people, and I know that it's a really hard time out there for people.
Yep.
And I just feel like a fucking asshole. If
We
I'm
don't
just
wanna rub
like,
our wealth in people's
"Hey, look at
faces."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If everybody's, just crushing it and like making it rain, then it's like, yeah, everybody, you too, yeah.
Yep.
But if we're, you don't want to be that asshole. And I think we're to the point too where, it was when we were first doing that, it was cool. Like we were so doing that in 2017 or whatever it was when we were first doing that.
2017.
Yeah.
But now too, I feel like, we're at that point where we realize there's so much more than just that. And there's a certain type of people that come around you, like not all, but there are a lot of people that just come around that, all of a sudden they're nice to you because, they find out what you do and they want to kind of ride your coattails.
Yeah.
So
See, we were friends with the mayor of the city we live in, and they used to invite us over because they saw us in a Rolls Royce, one time, and they would invite us over. They always had their fucking hand out for some
Always.
fundraiser. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, dude, I didn't buy this car by giving it to fucking jerk off politicians. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Like, I got this car because I am generous and I do give money to charity. The people that are starving kids and sexually abused kids and churches in the area. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it because I'm giving it to grubby ass politicians that ain't gonna do shit good with it anyway. When's a politician ever done anything good with our money ever? No, I'm not fucking donating to your campaign, right? And so it was kind of like around that time. It was 2020. And we're getting invited to like, we would show up at parties, and I'm not going to say what city or state, but you can fucking imagine. We would show up to parties with politicians, like well-known politicians. In 2020, when the state was shut fucking down, they were throwing gigantic
and they're
fucking
besides
parties.
the front, no cell phones, no photography, because
no
they didn't
cell
want to
phones,
be known.
And we're like, bro, okay, rules for thee, but not for thee, motherfucker. You are the motherfuckers I
for
hate.
thee, but not for me.
You're the people I can't fucking stand being
Yeah.
around you guys, right? And so over the years, Amy and I have we thought we wanted to get in with the political crowd, and then we realized those guys are fucking pieces of shit, right? Then we thought we wanted to get in with the influencers and stuff, and we realized a lot of those people got big egos that really ain't doing shit,
Yeah.
I'll give you the analogy. Let's say that you're Sean, the real estate investor. You do $50 million a year in real estate investing.
Yep.
But you got 1,200 followers on Instagram. But those 1,200 followers are your employees, your renters, and the people, your contractors that you do business with. So they're like 1,200 real people that are under your control and influence, right? And so you go and you do $50 million verifiable a year in real estate, and you try to create a course and coach people, and they're like, but you drive a fucking Honda Accord, and you ain't got but 1,200 followers. And you're like, Well, what the fuck's that got to do with anything? These are 1,200 renters and employees and contractors that I'm responsible for. Yeah, fuck you. Then they go to, John Q influencer who bought 1 million followers, and there's 20,000 people that are real that follow him, but he bought the 1 million other followers, and he's flipped one house in his lifetime with the help of his uncle's money, but he's read a few books and watched some videos, so here he is with these courses on how to flip houses, and all these people are like, yeah, he's got a Lamborghini and blah, blah, and the only reason he's got a Lamborghini is because he sells these fucking courses, and then he's not taking the money from the courses and buying real estate, he's just buying fucking flashy shit, so you continue to watch him on Instagram, and people buy from him because he seems cool, and they don't buy from you. But one of you's a fake, lying piece of shit, and the other one's the realest motherfucker in the game.
Yep.
And that's the problem. And so with us, when we've started compartmentalizing ourselves away from a lot of things and trying to just be with real people. Todd's got 2,500 or so followers on Instagram, I think. You know what I mean? Probably 800 of them are his employees.
Yeah.
And just being real, right? And he's a fucking great dude, but he doesn't sell a course or anything because he didn't give a shit anyway. But he's rich; he doesn't have to. But the guy that, let's say you're the $50 million rich, you don't have to either. But you're trying to help people because you know what it feels like, right? And you want to bring people along. Whereas the influencer just wants cash from people, so he can pay his Lambo payment or whatever. And so we've compartmentalized ourselves, and people will see. Amy and her Defender, not the Range Rover Defender, but the Can-Am Defender, right? The little 4x4 four-door machine. And they see her and they're like, oh, she's in a Defender with a cowboy hat on and a sippy cup full of fucking wine. Like, what's the deal with that? And they see me sitting on a SVL 97 with a grapple hook or a grapple attachment on the front of it. And they're like, they don't know anything, but that shit costs more than a fucking Lamborghini anyway. That Defender that she has is a fucking $60,000 piece of equipment. That skid steer that I have with the attachment on it's $180,000 piece of equipment.
That tractor is?
Yeah,
that thing's beastly too.
And I got
and
three,
you drive
bro.
it like a quad,
and
man. You gotta be careful.
I got
like
3 tractors sitting out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got John Deere, a Kubota, and then the skid steer. And we got all those attachments are 10, 15, 20 grand each too. Tim sold us that one attachment for $30,000 fucking dollars, bro.
Brush monster.
Yep. And so
the brush monster.
So
did you have it yet?
No, he's gonna deliver it next week, I think. And so
that thing's a badass piece of equipment.
Oh, dude, we're gonna go fuck some trees up, bro.
Go down.
Fuck all the trees up.
We're gonna have Tim and Hannah come on down.
Hell yeah. And
have you met them yet?
But
yes.
But what people don't realize
is
I'm sitting on $5 million worth of dirt, right? B, I'm sitting in a round up a $200,000 piece of equipment. But what happens is the real people, they know. The real people are like, damn, nice tractor, bro. Yeah. The real people, they're like, damn, you got 400 acres. The real people are like, damn, you got 200 plus head of cattle. And they're like, oh, shit.
You just put in a White Rock Road.
Yeah, like, dude, in Ardmore, the rock road's a flex, bro. Most people driving on dirt, you know what I'm saying? And in the world, a rock road is flex. It's $80,000 just in the rock, not the road building, but just in the rock, and which is an AP or something. Watch if somebody's into some shit. And so, but what that's done is that's brought real people that aren't there for, oh, you're all flashy with your Rolexes and cars. And so we've kind of quieted down that noise, and we're still flexing, but only the wise realize what we're doing. Yeah. But here's what I know about land, okay? Because you become who you hang with. Every time God has promised somebody something, it's been with land. Moses, go to the promised land. Right? When they were circling the walls of Jericho, 300 times or whatever that number was, it was so they could take over the land. God's always promised people land. This promise always came with land attached to it, right? Jesus, go, what do they call it? Evangelize the land, right? Like the land was always attached to it. So when you can own land, we got in Collin County right now. This is fucking crazy to even say this. In Collin County right now, we have over 35 acres of land. In the richest county in Texas right this minute, we own 35 acres of fucking land.
The Stewmans.
Love right? It. With no cap raise, no internet panhandling. Like, that's just fucking... That's Stew land. Yeah.
Stew land. That's good. Did you guys see that closure thing I did for you guys the other day?
What?
On my story?
No.
You didn't see the picture of it?
No.
You miss it. I'll show it to you. It's amazing. Because hardcore closures, a love novel.
Yes.
Did you see that picture?
No.
Yes, I did know that. I did know
was
that.
it when we were in Cabo?
I need to hit him with the trademark because I got that trademark. I need to hit him with the trademark
it's a good
on
one.
that.
Everybody, I mean, I sold 2 courses off this. And I had multiple people reach out. This is crazy. Look at this.
I didn't realize that's what that was, but it makes sense now. I didn't realize that's what that was, but
Looks
it makes
like,
sense
was
now.
that Phantom of the Opera? Like,
No, that's the Hardcore Closer book.
That's the book. And I
There's
changed
a
the book.
there's a romance novel called Hardcore Closer.
the faces you chose.
Changed it out.
Do you know how many times over the years people have bought that book and went, "Whoa, what the fuck is this?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
'cause
Like,
I
no,
thought,
wrong
oh
book. It's the other one. I need to hit them
gosh.
with the trademark, man.
We do. I just
should.
framed that, by the way. in
Yeah,
the
we need to
phone
hit them
sex
with the
office.
trademark.
Yeah,
Get that shit off of Amazon.
It was funny. They
You
brought
have to
that to my
change it to
attention the other
softcore
day. I'm
closer.
like, give me that cover right now. You didn't see it on my stories? It was great. And it ties to Meet the Stewmans. And I had 3 people, actually probably had 6 people reach out and sold 2 courses. It's perfect.
I love it.
So
I love
Just
it.
bringing it in. Anyway, Stewman's
so
land.
taking care of land is like I'm raising animals. We have fish, thousands of fish that we're providing homes for. We have hundreds of cows that we're providing hay for thousands of more cows. We're providing walnuts and pecans for not only the 21,000 pounds that we sold recently, but for the deer and the hogs. Like, we're taking care of God's things, right? Because we're stewards. That's Jimmy and I's company. His last name's Ward, mine Stewman, clearly. So we're stewards. We're stewards of this land. And man, I've noticed the more land that we've acquired and the better we take care of it, because we beautify land. This land back here, you never saw it, but when we bought this place, it was a fucking forest back there.
You went in there and cleaned all that up.
We took care of it, man. We beautified it. God's rewarding people that take care of his land. You know, every time I run in the gym in the morning, I pick up trash off of the land. When I go to a store and I walk in, I take it out of I make it a point, me and my kids, we pick up trash. We take care of land, man. That's those little things like that is how you catch God's reward.
Well,
you know?
and how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I was thinking about that the other day because I'm always, mom thoughts, thinking about like our kids and how teaching them to just operate their life by always just wanting to make things better than how. But you leave something better than you found it, right? And if everybody operated that way, what would this land look like? If everybody had that mentality of like, pick up trash when you see it, be kind to somebody, give somebody help, like do something that isn't just, based on you do something that's for the better of the greater good. And then ultimately, what's that going to create? And then if everybody else starts operating that way, what would a city look like? It's not going to be full of trash and homeless people. Yeah.
Be impressive. Too many selfish people to knock that out.
Yeah.
How old's your youngest son? Is how old?
6.
Colton's about to be 7
Almost
by the time
7.
this airs.
There's something about him. I can see him. He's the one that takes over the company.
That's why his nickname has been the Senator since he was 6 months old.
He is something else, dude. Now, the reason why I bring him
He's
up,
like a 70-year-old man.
he
75-year-old
is,
curmudgeon
That's
man
what I
and a
wanted to say.
6-year-old.
Something about him and the way he acts. He's 7. I was like, bro, you're 7. Relax a little bit. He's just polished.
He's stressed.
He's like, I'm just tired of school.
Yeah.
Or whatever he said.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, man. But
He's
I
like,
was
it's
thinking
boring.
about
I
him as the
didn't
one
learn
that takes
anything.
over this empire.
Him or
Just the way he
Harlan,
acts.
I could see Asher being the operator. He's really smart, behind the scenes, quiet, doesn't want to be in the face of things.
Yeah.
Jackson could be like the dancing monkey like I am, on stage and stuff. But Colton and Harlan, the other 2 grew up without a little bit. The younger 2 have grown up with everything. Like Harlan came home from the hospital in a Lamborghini Urus, and that was by design. We had an Escalade too at the time, and I was like, no, let's
my
make a
baby
memory.
girl's coming home in a Lambo.
Not too many kids come home from the hospital when they're born in a Lamborghini. Let's do that. Harlan's never stepped foot on a commercial airport. Like Jackson, we sent him on a class trip the other day. And he goes in the airport for like the first time in 4 or 5 years, and he's like, "Dad, these people are crazy here. No wonder we don't come to these places."
Oh,
so true,
my
huh?
God. I can only imagine the things he said.
Oh, dude.
I don't usually.
He had to
fly
be
here.
like Hillary Clinton, that meme when she went into like a normal person's apartment and she's all like this. That had to be like,
That's hilarious.
that face.
But also when we just flew to Arizona to go meet up with you out there back in November, and Jackson and Asher flew with us. It was Jackson and Asher and Brandon James and JP, my mechanic, and Amy and I. When we flew out there, Brandon and JP were like, dude, you're kids, man. Like, how well behaved. Like, you think little private jet trust fund kids are going to be spoiled, but we're good parents too. Every Saturday that I'm not out of town, which is rare, and or like last weekend we were in Cabo, or that I have an event this weekend, so I'll move it to Sunday. But like we have date night every Wednesday, and then I have kids day for me one day a week where I'm spending the whole day with the kids. You know, last week week before last, we went on Saturday or Sunday to the ranch. And me and Asher was on the tractor, I was on the zero turn mower. We mowed 7 acres of land, right? Harlan sat on my lap the whole time. She just be sleeping on a tractor. She don't care. You know what I mean? But like, that's our bonding time. Kids need to be touched. They need to be hugged. I'm hugging her the whole time while I'm driving a tractor. I'm hugging her the whole time when I got her strapped around with a bungee cord to my chest when I'm running the zero. Don't tell Amy. Running the zero. Tractor. Yeah. She ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Baby girl's safe.
Yeah, she's safe. She made it home.
That's
so
hilarious.
That's the other thing you said. You know, people need to ask my wife, right?
Yeah.
But my wife trusts me to put a bungee cord around our daughter and strap her on the tractor.
I didn't know you did that. You know, I'm okay with it now.
But that doesn't bother you, right? Like you're like, well, you know, he's been doing shit like that his whole life. Since they were infants, I've been stuffing them in like these camouflage baby Bjorns and riding 4-wheelers with them. You know what I mean? Like
we're a lot alike, except my children are older. I was cliff jumping with my son at 2.
Yeah, I mean,
with the baby backpack that strapped him in.
Yeah, that's why I got like a little baby backpack.
I hit that water one time and he launched out of the backpack. I had to go get him. Kid you not, my wife's like, what are you doing?
You have a life vest on them or whatever. So
we had fun. We had a blast.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Kids are savages. If they're raised weak or if they don't have the right attention and not raised strong, you see what you get nowadays. It's not
100%.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's really bad. So
this ties into something that I wanted to talk about today on Meet the Stewmans.
Oh, you guys got to Meet the Stewmans right about now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. Standing on business. Did we get that one episode? We needed that clip. We got to get that for sure. That was powerful. All right. Next week, same time.
Same place.
Same place.
We'll right place at the right time.
Next.
With the right people.